Okay, so welcome to the August 9th Gno.land dev call. We are quite a full house. And it's the 11th one that we've now hosted. So you guys have the agenda. It's part of the meetings issue 25. How we usually run these things, since we have some new people, we start with collecting issues. We've added a new label, or Manfred added a new label, gopher hole. So if there's something that maybe you guys would like to add for this call, if you guys could label it, or maybe if that's okay, we label it gopher hole, then we can, it's easy to find and we can add it to the agenda easily. And this week we have a new team with us, so it would be good to give a quick intro. We have the welcome to the Birdie team. They'll be working on No Mobile, and maybe you guys could just quickly say who you are, a quick intro for the team, and one person who gives a quick overview of No Mobile.
Okay, maybe I'll start. I'm
Sure.
Jeff. Been working with Birdie for about half a year, and I've been working on Gno Mobile, which is related to what we'll be doing, and also on documenting and community interaction with the WESH protocol, which is what we eventually hope to use as an alternative transport for GNO applications when the internet is not available. In other words, WESH is the code which was running Birdie Messenger, which is able to communicate by Bluetooth or local Wi-Fi or other means when the internet is not available. I'm the main point of contact for communication with GNO, and that's it. I'll let the next person talk. Well, I don't know if I successfully said what we're going to be doing. Sorry, Remy. We initially are going to be, not only is our expertise in communication off-grid, but also in getting Go apps to run on mobile, which is not easy. And so our immediate month-long task is to demonstrate we can get a Go app. I think we're just going to use the board's realm, and show that we can get that to run on the mobile. That's our near-term work. Okay, Remy.
Yeah, okay. So I'm Remy, and I work for Bertie since 2020. And I developed the Bluetooth drivers, so free Bluetooth drivers for WeshNet. Free because one for communication between Android devices, which use Android Nearby protocol. One another for iOS devices, which use multi-peer connectivity, and the last is using Bluetooth Low Energy, so for communication between Android and iOS devices. And after that, I worked for the overall stability of Bertie Messenger and WESH network. And for GNO and GNO Mobile, so I will port the code to be used on mobile with Jeff and Yuri. The next, and that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Remy. I'm Yuri, and at Bertie, since the beginning of this year, between February and March, I've more work on the Bertie app, stabilizing the code, small fixes and small improvements. I also work on the the Bertie and Wesh website with small improvements. And recently I was working with on our latest project that was creating a React Native library for Wesh to allow developers to build their own Bertie apps or communication apps using Wesh code. And yeah, here for help the team to succeed on the mobile workspace. So here we are.
Welcome. Did we get everyone from Birdie?
Technical team, yes.
Okay, that sounds good. So yeah, welcome guys. And I think we just had a repo open for you that has been shared with the team.
Yep.
For mobile. Yep. Okay, so moving on, do we have Andrew from OnBlock here? Do you want to give a quick update to the team on what's happening with you all?
Yeah, sure. I just got a few quick updates as usual. So we've been mostly working on NoSwap, both on the interface and the APIs, and we're expecting this to be done by the end of August, hopefully. And that's when we'll start integrating the interface with the contract and the APIs to start testing. And meanwhile, we're planning to work on writing some pure node packages when the native bindings worked by Morgan is merged. I think our developer Blake or R334 on GitHub will reach out if we have any questions. And also want to share that Gno.land has created an issue called OnBlock's Builder Journey on Hackerspace repo, which we'll be sharing our work, which we'll be using to share our work. I'm gonna throw the link in chat if anyone wants to check it out. And one last thing I want to mention is that we've been releasing our weekly writings on NoSwap's Medium. Special thanks to the core team for helpful reviews. And also gonna throw the link in chat. And yeah, we're looking for ways to spread this further in the community to basically help more people understand what Gno.land is trying to do. And yeah, I think that's about it for this week. Oh, by the way, Gno.land isn't here. He's not feeling well today.
Oh,
So
no.
yep, that's it.
Thanks, guys. And then I think Territory, Antoine, and Norman, if you guys want to give a quick update on things that you're finding and working on.
Yeah, sure. Maybe I don't know if it's the good time to make a demo or not. What do you think?
I think it's good. Maybe we can have a 2-minute demo. It's of the moderation DAO.
It's about social feed integration and DAO deployment module.
Yep.
So yeah, I'll try to make it very short.
Do you
Just a
have?
second.
Yeah. Can you? Do you have access to do it?
I think yes.
Okay.
Can you see my screen?
Yep. Or it's coming. Yep.
Okay, so it's live on app.territory.com. So you can just connect wallets. Of course, you need to have already your Aduna wallet set up. But here we deployed dedicated Territory Gno.land testnet since we had to build a new realm for our social feed. So I'll provide maybe information in the chat if you want to connect. Just a second. Here. So here it's already set up. So basically, first step is to allow the user to create a user. I will say demo nickname. Oops, do I have enough? Yes, I have. Sorry. Demo effect. Oh shit.
No, you only have two.
Oh, okay. I'll try with another one. So maybe on this one. Yeah, okay. So basically I can register a username here easily. and then I'll be able to interact with the social feed. So at this moment, we didn't push the flag system yet, but basically I can just make a post, simple like this, or with files or whatever. So here it's done. Obviously, it's the same for content, for comments, etc. And the social feed is like really basic at the moment, but we are preparing the flag system that will allow to manage the moderation by the DAO. So now I can just show you quickly how to create a DAO. You'll need to add the organization module in your menu bar. It will basically unlock this feature. So here you'll find all Gno DAOs. You'll be able to create your own DAO. So here I will maybe do it quickly. We'll say Cheese Club, since we are French. And here I can put on a picture. Maybe I just, sorry, it's a bit long, more than 2 minutes. Let's find the cheese pick. Okay, this one. Okay, cheese club. So now I can decide the settings of the DAO. So basically, I will let it like this. Here in this place, we'll have to create more documentation and explain what kind of parameters can be interesting, etc. So here I can add some members. At the moment, I will just be alone, just to finish quickly. So here I can approve, of course, with Adena, and then voila, it's done. So here it will create user profile for the organization with the list of members. So here I can, for example, add a friend easily using the username service. So I can add my friend Norman and approving with Adena again. Then if I update, I will find a new member. Oh no, sorry, a proposal first, since it's not approved yet. So I approve. And then I can execute the proposal. And I'll have finally my new friend in the DAO. So Norman is here. And basically, we just created a kind of experimental tab at the moment, since it's quite early, but basically to have all features, for example, to update settings of the DAO or to manage boards, delete a post, etc. So at the moment, it's not the final UI, obviously, but just to be able to create and interact easily. Yeah, I think that's all. Maybe I forgot some things, but I try to make short. Sorry.
That's good.
Norman, let me know if I forgot something.
No. I had a quick thing on my end, which was I opened a PR on the GNU repo for JSON parser, marshaller and marshaller.
What's the number?
It's not
Norman?
finished. I'm posting it.
Oh, okay.
It's not yet finished, but if you want to give some feedback, obviously it's temporary because we will have the real object encoding at some point, generic object encoding. But for now, when you need to develop UI, it's really helpful to fetch data from the chain in JSON format. And also we need the parser for the generic DAO messages, which are what is actually executed when you execute the proposal. And I think that's all for me.
Also in the background, we have two other topics. First is escrow system, since we try to experiment around the escrow system that can be useful for grant manager, but also for a kind of freelance marketplace, etc. So we try to continue this work. And on the other side, there is also some documentation that are in progress. So basically presenting all DAO standards we built, etc., and moderation module, etc.
Sounds good. Then, okay, so the action is 10, the issue pull request 1038. To Norman too. Okay, I think that's every one of like the external core contributors from no IDE. Ilker was not able to join today. I think he's mostly focused on the playground. So shall we move on to the team topics? Just a quick follow-up from last time. I think that Morgan is on vacation, but a question, was there an issue open to discuss reflection, or is that still a to be done?
Let me check.
Okay, because I saw that Petar opened up a alternative to reflection, introspective issue 970. So I thought
we have a new proposal from Petar.
Yes,
we have many comments regarding reflection.
Yeah.
No, we don't have the meta issue from Morgan. So let's wait for his comeback.
Okay. So we will table that for the next call. Okay, so we have now broken down the, as I mentioned, gopher holes. So we have 2 gopher holes for this week. Issue 1024. It's a very long title. So if you guys have the agenda, I will
so this one, just as an introduction, it's a topic we discussed quickly with Jay when we were reviewing the PR from Ariam about GNOMod. And basically, this is the first issue that I labeled GNO for all to inaugurate this new label. And the goal is to define both the wording, so what we name a module, a package, a path, a dir, a file, and subpackage, submodule, subdir, subpath, subfile, or whatever makes sense. And once we have the wording, also try to define, maybe we can say, for instance, GNO VM doesn't know anything except module and package. So yeah, it was one of the GNO for all I wanted to discuss, both to find the final answer and also to clarify to everyone, because I think most of the concepts here are very important to understand. It's about the design choice of the whole project. So if it's good for you, maybe we can just make a round of is there any question, blocking point topic? Because after we can start with this, and maybe it can be long depending on the discussion. So yeah, is there some questions or blocking points someone want to discuss, or can we just start iterating over GNO for all and other topics?
Is there a link to the one you were just mentioning?
Hey, can I continue about the 906, or we are just following in the list?
No, I prefer to hack the list to use blocking point and review first.
Okay.
So tell us what you want to discuss.
Okay.
906?
Yeah, 906. So it's the Merkle airdrop smart contracts. When I rebased the code, I've got the small issues, and I tried to dig. We peer worked with Thomas, and the thing we discover, and we don't know really how to handle that. The user token on the GRC20 When you get the interface, so inside of a Realm, if you get the variable that's holding, when you call after this from the Realm, which this use prev Realm, we will have an issue because the prev Realm will be the users and not the current Realm. So either, but it's a bit ugly, I believe it would be to use current Realm in user token.gno. .gno. Or we need to find another solution, like like here, like on the line 24, the GRC20 that is returned.
I think you're talking about what we discussed the last time, which is an evolution of GRC20, something I was working on. Basically, it's based on this, and it was about creating, where is it? To have like a local bunker. I think that's what you need. No? To have a way for an existing GRC20, which is already published, then you deploy a new contract with the airdrop or whatever, and you can instantiate a local bunker for the external GRC20.
Yes.
This one?
So it's depending on my PR. You can help me finishing it if you want, or just wait, it will happen.
Okay, 952. I will take a look and see if I can help on it.
It's not yet implemented. It's still a work in progress. But basically, we will have options to have more control on having a contract responsible to manage a subset or more granular control on who are the callers, so they can basically make requests by themselves as an intermediary contract. So maybe your intermediary contract will receive many tokens and will send their own tokens, or you can just have more control on the prev Realm, current Realm, get or each caller, whatever makes sense to be checked.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. That should be good. I will take a look at this.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And is there another topic you want to discuss, guys? A question? So maybe someone who want to make a feedback on, because we have new people joining the team, new partners. So maybe people want to make a feedback and get answers and questions.
I put a question on the issue for this meeting.
Yep.
I'll just read it. What's the intended way to use the code as a quote library? Birdie is writing a mobile app to directly interact with the blockchain, not using the command line. We need utility functions like sign and broadcasts, which are used by the command line, but a lot of those are private. What is the intended way for us to do this? Do we just copy the code from that we see internally inside the CLI, or is there like an API for using Gno code?
No, that's a good question, and we have an ongoing topic regarding this. Basically, you go in crypto clients, client, and here you will have all the functions, and actually we are in Tendermint 2, so the thing which should not be aware that much about what is a Gno contract. And as you can see, there are things that are actually related to Gno VM. So there is an ongoing split with the first part named cleanup. So yeah, there is a first PR here, which is in progress, and it does not solve everything, but it will fix. It will address a part of this, and at the end, there is probably the next steps here, which are to subcomments, to put the subcomments as public. So basically, we will export more things. Right now, the client is clearly designed for CLI. In your case, you want to have more control and just call the logic without having the full CLI.
Right.
So what I suggest you is to either try to just consider some functions here can be exported because it's an option. We want to keep a minimal API, but it could make sense, obviously, for very generic things to expose them. Another approach I suggest you is to look at the mini clients we have. Right now, we have basically one custom client, which is the faucet, and the Gno.web also. Gno.web is more about read-only client. So using the Q_things, the queries, like an RPC call, but yeah, read-only. And the faucet is actually a light client.
Yeah.
If you look at the faucet will, where is it? State.
So where does it create a transaction and send it?
Yeah, exactly. So basically, this is a custom wallet with a single goal. So when everything is done here, where is it? Crypto address. So we build the request. Send amount 2, and send amount 2 is loading the key and creating an object, a message, putting the object in the transaction, signing the transaction. Basically, at the end, you have your transaction that you can just broadcast with a simple RPC call.
Yeah.
So I suggest you to look at this. We have other clients which are not the best ones, but in terms of diversity, you can have more choices. You have one in the blog, which is basically like the faucet, but with more than one control. So if you go in the Gno blog CLI, there is another example of client. And I suggest you to look at how they did it for the JS. Because here you have another client which is not depending on Go. So yeah, by inspiring, you can maybe extract what is common, what is generic. But also feel free to give your feedback on what should be eventually exported in Tendermint 2 or other libraries. I can't promise we will do it, but having your feedback on, hey guys, what do you think about exporting this to make more diverse clients that are not only CLIs? Yeah, it's a good feedback issue that we can address.
Okay.
What's the question? How would you summarize the question?
We are going to write our own Go application that just needs to create a transaction and send it. I can see how that's done in the command line app, but it uses a lot of utilities for it. We're kind of written for it to bundle all those things like sign and broadcast, but those are all sort of internal and private. Do we just have to write our own utilities that do the same things, or is there going to be like the API for interacting with the blockchain?
Yeah, as you can see, this one is very CLI oriented. It's reading password using IO. So maybe it makes sense to just copy at the moment and let this one oriented to just bootstrap quickly a new blockchain, because Tendermint 2 is designed also to create easily new blockchains, and the blockchain is both the server and basic minimalist clients. So
I should mention we did take one of our servers at Birdie and set up a node. We're already playing with that, right? So we're using the command line to use it as the remote, and then our near-term plan is to get the mobile phone to do the same thing. So we're not going to spin up a new chain. We're just going to interact.
Yeah, but just the reason why we can't make any we can't just export everything is because this package has the main goal, and the main goal is to design quickly currently clients following this interface, having commands, IO, etc. So maybe you can try to make something following this interface.
Okay.
Or you can say, yeah, it would be nice to have exactly this and this and this function exported. And then one of the options is maybe to have clients depending on another internal libraries with exported functions that are not relying on this interface, or improve the interface or whatever. So yeah, basically, clarify more. Sorry
to interrupt, but so this is available in GNO key, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So shouldn't the GNU key binary be good enough for everyone? So why does anyone need to fork this logic?
It's when you want to make something else like a mobile app, which is not a CLI. If you want to create maybe one day desktop app, if you want to make something different from just a CLI actually. Or maybe we can keep this, but make sure that commands IO also work for other things. So like get password clearly works if you don't have a TTY.
I see what you mean. Yeah, yeah. If you don't want, if you want some custom slider, yeah. Okay, understood.
And yeah, and also since it's unexported, you need to load it with a setup function, which will basically register it as a subcommand. So if you don't want to have just a CLI with subcommands, it's heavy to initialize CLI system with subcommands with 8 messages to at the end just simulate that you call the function with spaces, etc. So it was just about maybe it makes sense to make this API more Go oriented than CLI oriented, while maybe keeping the convenience of bootstrapping quickly Gnocchi-like applications. But since they just started working on it, I suggest Bertie team to make an issue and clarify what they hope and what they do actually. But yeah, once again, guys, this client right now is designed to make it easy to bootstrap a new blockchain, including this the CLIs that come with the blockchain. So we don't have full flexibility of updating the API, so it's more Go-ish. It should be very oriented to bootstrap a new chain easily.
Okay.
So yeah, come back with more details, maybe suggestion, and we can discuss more detail later.
Okay.
But yeah, look at the other clients. Basically, they are extracting this. As you can see, the faucet is doing this manually, and it's okay.
Yeah. So we'll just kind of the short term copy the innards of this and use the objects directly.
Yeah. My opinion is that we'll have something similar to this. I think we have something similar to this, but in the main repo. So a Go client SDK, which is just focused on not creating CLIs, but creating clients. So something you want to include in a bigger applications where finally GNU is just one of the endpoints. If you don't want to make a CLI, but you want to make a daemon that will, I don't know, make the bridge between GNU and Twitter, or GNU and IRC, or GNU and weather.com, the goal is to have a more convenient API so that you can build clients more like the JS way. No, there is no example here.
Okay.
But yeah, feel free to open an issue with suggestion and feedback, or maybe in your hackerspace journey issue, and look at the existing client. And if you can't find them, just ping me and I will send you in the issue.
Okay. Thanks. That's pretty much what I wanted to hear about.
So since we were kind of talking about Tendermint 2, does it make sense to tackle the discussion around error handling? It's on the agenda, sending transaction functions issue 46 related to Milosh and Jay, which
I can't see.
Yeah.
It also relates to another one that Milosh, you and Jay have been discussing. Should we tackle that one?
Yeah. So the short update on the issue is there's a PR out. It's currently in draft. It's waiting for us to basically standardize some errors within the library. Then it should get merged out. I'm working with I'm not sure what his real name is. His GitHub handle is Jin Boss from Unblock. We're working on the PR together. And based on discussions that we had in the issue and in the PR, we sort of figured out the way we want to do transaction indexers and generally like event indexers for GNU, since they're going to be like a separate process from the actual blockchain node.
link is 46.
Is 46 the link?
Yeah, I think that's one issue that was opened by the contributor, 46, and then there's also Milo, sorry, correct me, but then there's also the original, which is the 546.
Yeah, these are related.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, the current problem is you don't really have a way to figure out whether or not a transaction failed after you send it out with a broadcast sync. There's no way for you to fetch like any kind of receipt information or any kind of basically error reason in delivered transaction, right? And currently what we're working on is we're working on basically an event indexer that's going to index transactions for you, and you can actually ask the event indexer what happened to the transaction or in which state in its execution it's currently at.
All right. I think you sent me a link. I want to check that out. That sounds cool.
Should we talk about it now, or?
Yeah, there's nothing too much to discuss.
Okay.
Basically, the draft PR is just waiting for a few changes to standardize the errors from the Gno client, and the PR that's on Gno, so 546, is waiting on a final review by Jay, and after that we can start working on a third-party indexer that's going to index these events.
Okay. We also had, I guess I'm hacking the agenda as well, but like we also had one more no for hole issue from Gilhelm.
Yeah.
Sorry. Gilhelm.
No, that's not Guillaume.
Yeah, so this is issue 1037. I'm posting the link here. It's listed as a go for hole issue.
Yeah. There is something strange in the way basically we can store corrupted blocks or something like this, and then when we start again the blockchain, in some occasion it won't start, it will panic. And then the topic was about two things. One, discuss about this specific bug, and two, discuss about a more global way to prevent this. So when it's happening, maybe a way to self-heal or to roll back to whatever makes sense, or basically what it was about this bug and general strategy regarding not having this case in the future anymore. Can you share it on the chat, or if it's not done, Michelle? So maybe Jay can give a look because it's a recent one.
Yep, just shared it. It's the 1037 in the chat. Is there a way to self-heal? That sounds... Do you see it, Jay?
Self-heal can be done, Rose, but yeah. Is there a way to... Sorry.
There it is.
Yeah, I'll start looking at it.
Anything that we can resolve now, I guess? Or...
There is a bigger topic regarding how we want, because another discussion we had regarding why we prefer to sometimes panic instead of managing errors is because there is no way to have either it fully works or it doesn't work at all, but partially working does not make is dangerous in a determinist system. So basically, how can we happen this to happen? How can we make sure that when we write something, it's fully written and no way to have a partial state or partial write or partial anything actually. Or how can we make sure that if it ever happens, we can safely just come back to the previous block? Maybe if at the last moment the thing we don't trust is a hard drive that is not fast enough to write atomically, maybe we can just have a final way to restore a blockchain where the issue was a temporary hardware issue. Or not actually. Maybe we want to explicitly prevent the blockchain to run again on bad hardware. So there is a bug and there is a more global strategy regarding how to prevent this.
I think it's like the art of mutex locking and unlocking is like how to save and flush the buffers. And it just comes with the territory of the code. I don't think there's some solution that yeah, I'm not sure there's any really good solution. But anyways, what will really help is having the WAL file.
The WAL file is there.
Oh, it's there. Okay, so I'll take a look. Thanks.
There's the corrupted zip, and basically it's not territory. It's a Guillaume from the core team. So feel free to ping him directly if you need. And Guillaume, do you have some more details? Because I think the issue does not have all the details. You said it was not, you made something special. I don't remember what. You sent a signal or something.
No, the only thing I had, but I think I put it on the issue. I don't remember. No, nothing more. I didn't this on purpose.
How did you kill the node?
Simplicity LC. Actually, I did it. I keep my node running all the night. Not all the night because I just put my laptop on sleep and I open it the next morning. I kill the node with CTLC and I start it again, and then the panic occur. And I got this problem twice, not one, but with exactly the same flow. So yeah, but that's it. Nothing particular. I can't reproduce it like on purpose. I will try to do the same thing tonight, like keep the node running, put my laptop on sleep, and open it the next morning to see what's happened.
Oh man, yeah. Like, yeah, the computer does weird stuff when it goes to sleep.
I have one question. Why is there a need for a wall at all in the blockchain node?
One is if there is a bug, you can figure out what happened easier. You can recover better from the last state. Also, you need something like it in the very least, but it serves for the purpose of it, which is you need to account for why you signed something a certain way. So when there's a complex attack with more than 2/3 that are like signing double signing a block, then the way to figure out which more than 1/3 of the voting power is responsible for the attack is to share essentially your wall files, right? So prove everything, show what you saw when that caused you to vote in that way, right? And if everyone is required to do that, then you can figure out who's responsible, or in the very least exclude them from escaping culpability. So that's why validators should keep their wall files, because IBC and ICS and crypto consensus court is going to require it. In case there's any failure.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Okay, so the status then on the no for whole 1037 is that
we need to investigate, and the thing is that
Gilham will put his computer back to sleep overnight to see if it can happen
I
again.
don't know how to reproduce the issue.
Sorry, for a layman, that's funny. Like a layman like me, it's just that your computer's doing things, making panic while you're sleeping. But I'm sure.
I try to put some panic on some flush things, like as Antonio suggested, to see if I can catch something. But I'm really not sure of what's
okay. Okay, so then we come back.
Yeah. Well, is it a blocking issue?
No, clearly not.
No.
But yeah, I like using the public call to discuss not only the bug, but the whole strategy behind how we want to address similar bugs.
Yeah.
Yes,
we can move on to is it okay, again, I'm just throwing these out there. Is it okay to talk about the either the meta no CLI issue that Manfred, you and Mark have been discussing, or what we've had on the agenda for a while, which I think is
I think it's okay if we have more than my comments, and right now we have the one from Mark. No, I suggest next week we'll have the workshop regarding roadmap, and I expect more comments here. Basically, this issue is more a wish list, how people envision not the minimal things like Gno.key, but the Gno binary. If we expect to have a single binary that people install, so basically, if in the future, as many people, so not a validator, but just most of the people, you just have go install the Gno binary, and that's all. And with a single binary, you expect most of the experience to be managed by this binary. It won't be anymore just about testing and running. It will maybe be about having basic account management, maybe publishing. So basically, it will be an opinionated full experience. So you install a single binary and you can debug, analyze, fetch, synchronize, and develop. You can't run production. You can't make low-level things maybe, but for the most common things especially of someone who discovers a project, you can expect something. So this issue is more very open about what could be the future, because here most of the comments I put do not exist. We don't have Gno.get, we don't have Gno.call, we don't have Gno.evol, we don't have Gno_. So Mark also gave his opinion. I suggest anyone to give opinion here, but it depends on clarifying more the mainnet roadmap. And then, yeah, it's clearly worth having a discussion on or the Gno binary could be more like the single binary that manage everything. But yeah, we need more comments. Just it's an invite, guys. If you want to give your wish list, it's a good place. We'll probably refuse most of the proposals, but it's about having a place where we can discuss about the potential future for the Gno binary. I think I will put it as Gno for all for an upcoming talk, an upcoming call. And what is the other one which is good? It's unpointed, and unpointed. So people are invited to give their opinion, and it will be an upcoming Gno for all. What else?
So, is it possible? There's also this one has been from Petar on the docket for a while. It's the 919 around. It relates to our language discussions around extending constant behavior.
Yeah.
Is it something that Petar?
There was a lot of there was a long discussion between me and Jay and the other guys on this. I think we can close this one as Jay has some a little bit different ideas that it's probably worth creating a different proposal for.
What would the different proposal be?
It's probably better if Jay did it, because I'm not sure I understand completely what he wants to do on that front.
Okay, maybe Jay, do you have is that maybe something we want to talk about now, so we can make progress on it, or?
Is there a link?
Yeah, sure. Let me.
919.
Oh, yeah, so that way we could at least get this one closed and modified one open.
Yeah, it's related to all the things regarding how we can make const more. Maybe have read-only const, etc. It's a proposal made by Peter on how we can make it.
We also talked about mutability modifier, if you remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Or maybe we can yank that proposal in the Go issue. That maybe we can fetch those comments you had there, and I guess open a proposal with that. Yeah, maybe. Those were there was modifiers for slices, which is interesting, but generally the idea, I guess, more generally is like read-only references, read-only views. Like, yeah, and as far as slices go, the slice itself would be const, so you wouldn't be able to push into it, but the elements within the slice would still be mutable, right? Oh, sorry. Can you repeat that, please? Is your idea of having a const slice is you wouldn't be able to push, for example, new elements into the slice, but the elements themselves will be mutable. See, So if you have, let's say, numbers 1 through 10, you wouldn't be able to push 11, but you would be able to change, let's say, 5 to be a 6 or whatever. Do you have a link to it? It's been a while. Not at hand. Okay, let me look for it real quick.
Is this the 919 Pitar? Or is it a different one?
This is in the Go repository, not in Gno.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
I found it, yeah. Here, I'll
Yeah, this is the one we. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I'll paste it here. Okay.
Yeah, this one. Thanks, Jane.
Read only. So with the intent here for sure would be different, because with this you wouldn't be able to so if you have a slice of 10 elements, you wouldn't be able to change any of them. So nor would you be able to change any of the bytes of a byte slice. So if a function like trim space, if so what I'm suggesting there with just, this is a bad example, but with if the read-only behavior would be transitive. It would the slice would be read-only. When you declare a read-only slice, the elements also would be read-only. Is that? I'm not sure if that's what I wrote. That's the question is that I have myself right now is like, yeah, like, don't we want like a transitive read-only view like that? Kind of like how a slice is kind of like a view into an array. Sorry. It's like a slightly different concept with yeah, where things are read only. Well, I'm thinking that sorry, even if you don't have transitivity, just the ability to have read only, I guess, helps a lot. But I'm not entirely sure what the best approach is. Let's see. So I have too many tabs open. Yeah. 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 So what I'm suggesting here is not transitive. It's just you know, but you know, because it's not transitive. Well, not because, but in addition to, you know, whether or not such a thing should be transitive.
Yeah, for example, if it's transitive, then when you make a const slice, then people wouldn't even be able to sort it, right?
They can produce new arrays and new slices that have things sorted, right? But whether or not the result can have mutable elements, you know, it depends on whether or not the read-onliness is transitive into the elements.
Right.
I think, you know, we're talking about a modifier for slices, at least in the proposal. So, you know, I think we're talking about something that's not transitive, because if it is transitive, it's maybe a different larger conversation beyond slices.
Yeah, because then we're talking not only slices but const t of any type.
Yeah, like a read only. Yeah, it's kind of like what reflection gives you, almost. You can only, well, you can read into the values of things, but you can't actually get the pointers. How's that the same thing? Sorry. Read only.
Yeah, and that ties into the mutability modifier a little bit, and it overlaps a little bit. If you can declare something to be mutable or not, it's a little bit overlapping with the const.
Whoa, sorry. There's this. Whoa. Wrapping my head around reflection and
Yeah, I personally think that your idea about just adding const slices is a very good idea, because it's gonna be easier than all of these other two things, and it's more focused on just slices.
Well, so you're saying the slice modifier is good, and having it not be transitive, you think?
Yeah.
Well, okay, then how does that work with, like, generics and interfaces? That's what I don't know. It's like that.
Yes, for generics there is no issue. It doesn't interfere at all. This feature doesn't interfere at all with the semantics of const, because it just produces generic. It just view the generics like a templating feature, and just produce code which is instantiated per concrete type, but there is no modification of properties. So for generic there is no issue. It's completely unrelated. But for interfaces, I think it's the const should apply to struct, not sorry, concrete types, not to interfaces, only to concrete types.
Only to interfaces. What? Sorry. Can you repeat that last part, please?
Yes, I said that we should not try to apply const to interfaces, but only to concrete types.
Oh, oh, only the concrete types. Oh, um, um,
like it is for the rest of the Go language. If you look at how the const is used for basic types, I don't see a way to apply it to interfaces.
yeah. Well, yeah. You're talking about constant expressions in Go.
Yes.
Yeah, because all of that in the compile step, pre-processor step, so to speak, gets evaluated.
What do you think about going a step further and saying it won't be only for slices, but for reference types?
For reference types?
Yeah, so for either for native references or for native types that have reference semantics like slice would.
Like ampersand?
Yeah. So and this would give us the ability, if you're sharing data, how do you do it? You do it by giving a reference, right? And if you can say const ampersand and then your data to some library, then you would know that they cannot mess with it. And at the same time, you can create your own const slice if you wish to do so, which they both might be the same thing. And at the same time, it wouldn't be so complicated as to have this for all types.
No, are you talking about when you say const ampersand?
This would be like in C++ when you have a function definition like const pointer, right?
Yeah, I'm starting. I forget now C++. So like, so is if you have like, X is constant ampersand a structure.
Yeah.
Is X are the fields of X immutable or immutable?
That depends on whether we decide on the previous question about transitivity, but
oh yeah, it depends on whether they're exposed or not.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So and if it's an interface type, I think you shouldn't have to do anything. But if you're passing a data structure reference or a slice reference or some kind of other concrete type, then possibly we can have these constant references. that would include slices and basically all concrete types.
Yeah. Okay. But would it be better to call it something else besides const? Because in Go, const is already associated with constant expressions, and this is different, right, than constant expressions, right? Because my understanding is that this is constant expressions are more like really constant and immutable, and you really can't change it because it's a value that is evaluated at compile time.
Right.
Versus I'm thinking that, you know, what I gather from what I hear from, you know, you talk, is that we're talking about something different, where you can have mutable fields of a structure, right?
Well, I think the visibility of the fields should be able to protect the data itself, and the const that I'm suggesting would prevent someone from setting a different value altogether to set your pointer to point to a different value, basically.
Um, mm,
So if you're using a library and you don't want people messing with your data structure, certain fields, you make them private, right? So they can't access them. And the other problem, which they can overwrite the whole data structure, will be solved by the const, which maybe is not a great name for it. Maybe I thought of it because that's how they do it in C++, but maybe we can have a different keyword for it.
yeah. Okay. So yeah, just to get my everyone's understanding on the same page, because it's not clear to me. I'm just asking just to make sure we're all talking about the same thing. Are we talking about, you know, is the C++ const expression something that allows for mutability of structure fields?
Yeah, it. I think not.
Right. Yeah. So okay. So yeah. So that's what I was talking about too. Right. With the const modifier. Right. With the const modifier that I was talking about. You would be able to have a reference, a pointer to some structure that's guaranteed not to change. So you could have an exposed pointer on a package or a realm, right? That no one can change. And if it has unexposed private fields, right, then you can control how anything mutates about that object, even though it's a publicly exposed thing. So maybe the right keyword is like not a modifier. Maybe it's invar, because it's like a variable, but it's not. It's invariable, right? The whole point. But otherwise, it's the same thing. I don't know. That's my question now. Is one. So
Actually,
huh?
Actually, that's a great name for it. I like it.
Is it? So if you have invar x, let's say in a realm, you have at the very top level, invar capital X equals my struct, then You just have to, remind people that if my struct dot A is capital A exposed, then it's still a mutable thing.
Yeah, the question is, would you be able to say invar ampersand x? And, would you be able to say invar ampersand x and that be an argument to a function? Meaning,
wait. Let's write these down. Let's write these down because we've got two interesting questions, right? If I say invar x, my struct, I'll write mine down.
Where are you guys writing these? In the GitHub issue, in the chat?
I'm just gonna write in the chat here.
Okay.
Oops. Right. So is x dot a equal to that's my question. Another question, invar x. Oops. Okay, I'm gonna write 1.b invar x my struct. Okay, we got three questions.
Can I ask a silly question? Are you and Peter already familiar with how Rust solved this?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Are you familiar with how Rust deals with this?
Rust const has non-transient constant values, meaning if you create a const array, you can increment. If it's integers inside, you can increment them. You cannot add or remove elements, but you can modify the elements inside. As far as the other issue, they have by default, they have a read-only variables, and you need to define them as mutable with the mute keyword.
Yeah.
So you need to say let mute a equals 5, and then you can mutate it. Otherwise, by default, it's non-mutable. And you also have this keyword producing expressions with that modifier. So you can choose to give read-only, meaning non-mutable, or mutable access to different function calls. But I don't think that's appropriate for GNO. I think it would make it too complicated and would kind of be the purpose of why GNO was started in the first place.
Okay, I'm just curious about the context. Thank you.
The objective of this proposal is really to be limited to GNO, or is it a possible extension to Go as well?
Basically, all the proposal we are discussing can be, in addition to GNO, can be something also managed by something similar to CoffeeScript that could generate both GNO and Go without changing the languages. and may eventually be something discussed later in the main Go repo. But we can start with considering just for Gno, or maybe even better, basically translating with Gno-fi script or something like this.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
something that could generate even valid Go code.
I hope so. I hope. Yeah, I've been saying that that's the case, but in reality, I'm hoping that that's the case with these things, because originally the read-only slices and that stuff was my proposal for Go 2, and they said they don't want that. They don't want to consider a multi-user secure environment language for Go 2. I think that's what they said for Go 2.
Yeah, the Rust compiler is a real Nazi, because things that you find normal in Go when you write everyday Go, and for example, you have two different data structures have pointers to the same data, and both can mutate it, right? And this is not a problem when you deal with a single threaded environment. When you don't use Go routines, it's not a problem, right? In Rust, you cannot do that. You cannot give two mutable references to the same data. It's impossible. Your code will not compile. This is why I'm strongly against like grafting Rust system. It will destroy Gno, in my opinion. We have to come up with something that is not so complicated and works fairly well.
I guess what we have proposed so far with packages that are pure and realm packages that are stateful is maybe something that is intuitive and works. Yeah, but the downside is right. I think right now you can write code that tries to persist another realm's type, and it'll fail when the function exception. So the gotcha might happen to the developer, where they're like, why is my smart contract failing? And the answer is, oh, you're trying to save something that you can't. You're not allowed to save. So that hopefully it's not too confusing.
Yeah, this is exactly what I had in mind with the example I gave with the invar expression.
Yeah, my concern is that it would not be translatable to Go language. It has already been rejected, but also I think there is one property, and it was almost explicit. Okay? This is the concept of addressability for variables. So variables can be, for example, strings are not addressable because they are purely constants. And if you want to say okay, a reference can be mutated or not, it's really more complicated in Go that it is in Rust, because Go is a garbage collected language, and because reference, even if the content doesn't change, the reference can change because the memory will move due to the garbage collector and things like that. So it's really messing with addressable values is really something super difficult, and I think it explains a lot of the reluctance of the Golang team to change what has been already specified in that regard. So I think everything we do right now, the exercise we do right now with read-only or invar and so on, it can be only applied, so far to me, it can be only applied to Gno and not yet Go, as long as I see.
Yeah, I agree with Peter here. right? Because you look at our question number 1 here, invar x my struct is my struct a colon 1. Whether like that helps, and that's easy to translate to Go. But just having that construct allows for Go packages to be more secure, because they will have essentially package level names that are not constant expressions, but are variables only because they don't have an alternative. What they really want is something more invariant than a variable, right? Doesn't exist though, and they're saying they don't care, but I think that's silly. It should care. The only reason to say they don't care would be to say we want to create an invulnerable language.
Speaking of sorry to interrupt here, but speaking of Go feedback, I don't know if you guys saw in the Signal channel I shared the Go Dev survey. So it might be worthwhile that we we share our feedback with them about this, so that I don't know, so that we can like see what they say. I was just curious. I don't mean to interrupt the flow, but I know that this is kind of a topic we have for our GNOME working group. Is it okay if we use this discussion to add to the next GNOME working group, and we keep going with the agenda, or should we continue to flesh this out?
No, I think we should save these questions 1, 2, and 1.b
1, 2, and 1 point. Okay, hold on.
in the chat.
Yeah, and add them to the agenda of the GNOME Go like of our language working group.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Okay. And then, okay, so 1, sorry, just to recap, 1 and 2 and 1b. Okay. Shall we tackle the issue 1024?
Good luck, yeah.
Yeah, this one is we'll tackle.
Discuss. So basically, I think Jay, you should start. Also, Mark has an opinion on this. Maybe what's new, especially for you, Jay, because it was something mostly introduced with GNOME, is the concept of module. Because before we have these concepts, I think things were basically simple. We only have packages, and that's all. But now we have modules, and they can have representation both in the code on the library, but also they have a representation, at least as a concept, for people writing code on GNOME in the ways they organize things. So, for instance, we can expect people to say, "I want to publish my module," which maybe, I don't know if we want to produce or not, is a collection of packages and subpackages, or packages with subdirectory or subpath. So yeah, it's about defining the good wording, making sure that this wording is consistent across the code base, and also make sure that in terms of documentation, get extensive guides, tutorials, actually each word should have a definition. Even if we don't want to use them in the code base, we just cannot say that the word dir is completely forbidden in the ecosystem. Maybe we can explain, okay, a dir on your file system is completely abstract from the blockchain point of view. It's something that makes sense only while you develop. But as soon as you you enter in the GNO VM or publish it, it is translated to a path. So yeah, we can't ignore all the terms, but we need to have a unified definition and make sure that the implementation is a perfect consistency in the wording. What do you have? What's your opinion on this, Jay? Package, dir, pass, file, modules, and sub package, what exists, what does not exist, what doesn't make sense.
Sub package file?
Yeah,
I don't understand.
But basically we have the initial words, module, package, pass, dir, and then for each of them, does it make sense to consider that this thing, sub module, sub dir, sub pass, or package?
Okay, wait, can you break it down? Can you start over?
So can you open the issue 1024?
1024, 1 second.
Or 2 power 10, if you prefer.
1024. Okay, what am I looking at? Module, package, path, dir.
And so yeah, basically I will do the main increment, but we need to define wording for people, documentation, and wording for implementation.
Okay. Yeah. Let's see.
Are you familiar with the concept of module, or because when you started working on GNO, there was no concept of module yet? So,
right. So we're that. So the way I see it, the GNO VM should not have to know. Ideally, it doesn't have to know anything about modules, and we can implement modules as something that's related to like GNO mod, right?
yeah.
Yeah. And then package is well, I mean,
I think package you can do like in Go, because in Go, when you import something, you have the package path, and it can have a sense once downloaded on your file system before being downloaded as a way to find your content, like a domain name. So is the identifier that has a determinist way to be fetched, a determinist way to be.
yeah, but that should always be called package path, right?
Yeah, package path. Yeah, sorry, is the identifier of a package. Then the package is more the struct containing everything, including the content.
If there happens to be a struct that is called package PKG, then it makes sense to just have a path field. So that would be the only time you would have a standalone capital P path field, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
everywhere else is PKG path.
Yeah. So that would be a PKG dot path. But PKG, yeah, where I saw that was in, what was it? Was it in GNO mod code somewhere, right? Basically, yeah, it's in the GNO mod logic, isn't it? That's where the PKG type was declared.
Yeah,
Anyway.
right now there is no things in PKG GNO VM. Everything in regarding eventual misusage of wording is either in PKG GNO mod or in CMD. So it's not yet a problem. We will fix. We will make something consistent. But right now, PKG GNO VM only knows about packages, PKG path, and they are not aware of module. But PKG GNO mod and CMD has some small mistakes regarding wording. So we will fix.
Yeah. Well, yeah, well, what is a sub package, right? There shouldn't be any sub package or sub module really. Because you know, there's no notion of directories for packages in Go. Even if they have a path that one is a subpath of the other, doesn't mean anything. They're just two different modules, right? So my point is, just looking at this name, submodule and sub package, I'm thinking, well, why do we need that at all? You know?
Then I have a question. Should we block realms with subpath, or should we consider that when you add package a realm with subpath, it basically virtually generates not subrealms, but independent realms where you have independent addresses, etc. Should we prevent, basically having a single add package that will add multiple realms or not? Because one of the things that could eventually make sense with sub package is if we decide, not in terms of import or whatever, but in terms of persistency, in terms of realm.go, so the things about the realm itself, if we want to have subdirs sharing some things, sharing the assets or sharing anything that makes sense. If we want to share the realm address, basically. If we don't want this, clearly, I think it's just creating a mess to be able to have multiple realms added at the same time. Not sure, but yeah.
I didn't get the last part. Sorry, I blanked out.
So yeah, basically having if we want to consider that when you publish a realm with subpaths, they can share some things. They can share the address, they can share the bunker modules, they can share something. Then the concept of subpackage or subpath could make sense. If they don't share anything, actually, adding a realm with subpath just is like adding multiple realms individually, just in a single transaction.
Yeah. Okay. So right. So great question. So
and so yeah, if they're individual, maybe we should, for clarity, block them so you can only upload one realm at a time. Or basically, are you for sharing some things in the same realm between the different paths? Or are you more about keeping them independent, and then maybe it's a good UI to block publishing very different things at the same transaction?
Okay. So look, I think so two questions, right? One is, it would be nice to have, like I don't know, do Tendermint / as an org, right? / and then my realm, right? And then to also have to be able to support like /v1 or /v2 or / whatever, right? Inside, and have so in essence have sub realm or sub packet structure. So I get that, right? Conceptually, conceptually there is, it does exist, just never in the code base. But what was my point? My point is Fuck. I had a point. Oh, what was this talking about?
Yeah, just in general, what do you think about considering to share anything between multiple subpaths of the same virtual realm? Does it make sense to always have the realm which is identified by the path itself, or does it make sense to have the realm more identified as when you publish something, more like a tag, and then if you have subfolders, they are sharing some things? Because right now the realm is, I think, derived from the PKG path. So if technically you upload a realm with subpaths, you will have independent realms.
Yeah. So
But yeah, as you said, for V1, V2, for migration or for other reasons, one pattern I like is about having ways to split something. Maybe we have a complex realm and we want to have a user front facing and admin front facing. So considering to share some things between the subpaths of the same realm could make sense. It does not change the way people import you. They import you as usual as paths. They don't care about being a realm or not.
look at you look at GitHub, right?
Yeah.
You've got org / and then you've got repo.
Yeah.
But they don't support sub repos.
No, just subfolders, yeah.
Right. So
or maybe the branch can be considered as a sub-repo. Technically, it's a different tree.
maybe the branch. No, branch is a branch. That just gets really confusing when you have branches representing anything other than just different versions. But the restriction that within an organization top level folder, there's only one more folder, and that is the repo, is a nice restriction, I think. So if we say that and say r/ username or organization / realm name is it, and you can't have sub realms. It's restrictive, but it's pretty simple, right? And gives us some options in the future if we want to change it, but at least it's simple, isn't it?
But Git and GitHub also support some modules. If you look that way.
Git supports sub modules, but no one really likes sub modules, right?
We can generalize it, like some organization prefer some modules and some don't.
Right. But what were we talking about? Not sub modules. Why are we talking about sub modules?
Just GitHub Enterprise support sub repos and GitLab support sub repos, but I clearly prefer the vision of GitHub, which is more flat. I think there are two exceptions. One is versioning, where I expect versioning to one day become something automatic on Gno, like the sequence number, the account number, and I would love to have the version number, which is something automatically incremented, not a hash or something, just V1, V2, V3. So let's discuss this later, but in my opinion, versioning could be something managed officially internally. So we don't need to have subpass here. Having subpass, in my opinion, makes sense, especially when you have like monorepo or things like this on GitHub, where you just want to not have, to just split your code and split your front ends. Have maybe a user entry point, an admin entry point, like you like having maybe the API, the earth, like not MVC, but having the logic implemented at one place and maybe having multiple front ends which will share the same logic and assets. So basically, I'm for having subpath in realms while sharing some things in realms. If we can't do it for any good reason, we can create a lot of patterns. We can have realms where a sub realm, so a realm in a subpath, is dedicated to hosting the assets. We can live without sharing anything between subpaths of a realm, but it could make sense to consider that subpaths of a shared realm can share some things, the bunker module or something else. But yeah, in terms of simplicity, we can just prevent it completely. But yeah, at the end,
as long as the GNU VM doesn't know anything about submodules, right, or sub.
Yeah, GNU VM is not aware.
Right.
VM Keeper could eventually decide to set the context a little bit differently based on this logic. But GNU VM is stupid. It's just taking a context and yeah, it will stay package oriented and context oriented.
Yeah. So,
but yeah, basically, GNU VM only know packages, and packages have a PKG path identifier. So for GNU VM, the answer is simple. Everything regarding directory files should be something only regarding local file system. Then we have mem files for the package representation of a file. Do we want to have mem files with slashes in their virtual path or not? Do we want mem file to basically provide a structure like maybe the internal folder of a library in Go, when you want the Go library to be front-facing and have internal implementation?
Wait, hold up. So, oh gosh. What is it right now?
Right now, you can do very strange things because you can upload, if you craft manually, if you don't use the CLI, you can upload a package with slashes inside, and you can upload new realms under an existing realms or package because there is no verification except that something is already existing or not. So right now you can do everything, and basically A/A/B can be because you uploaded B after uploading A, or because you uploaded A containing a /B inside. So right now we have too many options, and basically you have two ways of doing the same thing. And I'm trying to find a single way of doing things instead, or to make it more less workflow.
Okay, so I think memfile, yeah, mem package should be like a directory, right? And ideally, we don't have any slashes inside of mem file names, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do we need to put a slash in there? Why?
If take this case, if you want to have a realm with /internal/mylib.
If you want to have a realm with slash what?
/internal, like in Go, when you have an internal folder, which is actually restricted for others to import. So if for any reason you just have something too complex that I don't know, you really don't want to make a single package with 50 GNU files, but instead you want to have sub-libraries, mostly for organization of your code. Do we want to accept people to upload a realm with realm.gnu, then internal/mylib/lib.gnu?
Okay. Okay. So you're saying in Go, if I create an internal folder inside a package, then I can stash more files in there, and it would be part of the same package. Is that right?
The same or not actually, but do we want to encourage this existing pattern from Go of splitting two complex things with subfolders
But
not about reusability, but about splitting things and having internal folders.
Is that really how it works?
Right now in Go, you can import whatever the same way, except if you import something with internal in the path, which is not under your own path, it's considered as something the author prevents you to import. But forget about internal. Forget about internal. Just for organization purpose, you want to upload a realm, but have a sub path, because this is common in Go to split your big program into smaller things.
Look, okay, I'm so confused. Because the internal thing is if things are internal / whatever in a package path, you can go.
Look at my comment. r/nt board is a realm, but it use internal /lib. It use admin. It's something I would love to see, to have /admin being something with its own generated documentation, so I can prevent everyone to be confused with admin functions. So /admin is also a realm, and r/nt board /public lib is like internal lib, but it's intended to be imported by other people.
Yeah, it's not really a Go convention, and it's confusing with the internal.
Just in general, right now, what we encourage and what you can see in the examples folder, we only have single folder examples with all-in-one inside. So either you have a full P that makes sense as a whole, or full R that makes sense as a whole. It's obvious that we will need to support more patterns where the P or sub R does not make sense as a whole, but makes sense in terms of code organization. We need to have at least an answer for people that wants to replicate this not Go convention, but the Go feature.
Again, I don't think this is a Go feature. I'm confused. There is a thing about, but it doesn't apply to every package. You can't just create it doesn't apply to a folder that you create named internal, right? So this is kind of a conflation of two concepts, isn't it? Because the Golang internal are they're just kind of like magic packages that are only available from standard library implementations. But what you're suggesting here in the comments is like some ability for any realm package to have their own internal folder. Isn't that right?
I'm just showing cases that I'm sure we will receive from the community. They will want to make let me update my comments. Sublib intended to be imported. This is, in my opinion, what we will receive in the issues with more adoption. Hey guys, I'm trying to create an internal lib. Hey guys, I want to create a sub-realm to just split my big API. Hey guys, I wanted to upload the library, which is not a P.
Sorry, I understood. So internal lib, as in, you're just calling it that and saying it's internal.
I think you can ignore the internal line, because this is just a special case. I'm just speaking about opening a realm with subpath as a way to organize your project.
So sorry.
Support, basically.
Understood. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I really don't know. So I, we kind of have to, make some choices here. Maybe are they part of the same realm, right? Or You know, so the nice thing about just saying you can't do that is you have to put it inside of a P package, right? Or break your project up. So I guess, but I guess you're kind of still left with the same problem in terms of how to structure your code. So maybe what if we do this? Yeah. I guess two questions, right? One is, okay, well, maybe does this mean that NT/board/admin, right? Is that part of the same realm of NT boards, or is it its own realm?
Yeah, actually, we can work with both. Sharing could make sense to make the process easier if we can share just about adding patterns to have realms responsible for hosting data while having other realms responsible for having more or less privileged actions. So both can work. It's more about the intention of splitting a complex realm into sub-libraries and sub-realms. So basically, what I want in /admin is to have a way to make TX call /admin dot something. That's the only thing you need to know. Sharing or not data is another topic that I'm clearly interested to know, but the main thing was about, does it make sense or not to consider /admin like a sub-realm, independent realm or not, but having documentation and being able to make TX against. We won't make TX against internal/lib or public lib. They only have helpers and structures, maybe. They don't have state. But /admin,
Here's my question.
has an impact.
Yeah. Okay, so the question is, can you have this kind of structuring only in the P packages, and have P, NT boards, internal lib, whatever, or do you really need that kind of structuring at the realm state level? Right?
Yeah, basically, the more time passes, the more I split P/ and R/, especially in the way we want to use them on a daily basis. And having sub pass on a P for me is no-brainer, while having sub pass on a realms can have an impact. But yeah, P/A/B/C, it's just pure independent paths. They don't share anything. They are just a way to organize things and having multiple importable libraries. So there is no concern about P, just about R.
Yeah. Okay, the other question is like, okay, so is this where, well, yeah, do we consider like the realm to be a module? Is a realm a type of module? And and these are special things that Gno.land only allows at the org/name level. So internal/lib, etc. These are all part of the same realm. Then that would kind of, I guess, help break your project up into structure, right? Wouldn't that fulfill what the programmer needs in terms of structuring and then having everything be within the same realm?
Yeah, break the code and break the API, because breaking the code into sub-file is something I expect people to do more, but having a big API versus splitting the big API into sub-APIs with per persona API I think it will be very useful.
Okay. So
but yeah, just on this point, if we don't want to share realms, I think we can just have better UI, better UX in the generated documentation, so that maybe we can categorize things or use Godot or whatever. So if we can't share the realms, I have a B plan. But yeah, at the end, I just dislike the current realm who mix admin and non-admin things and have a Gno doc which is just sorted by the name of the functions, while in my opinion, this documentation should be the only documentation the user should use. So it should have a getting started message, hello, welcome to this realm. Here is your journey, blah blah blah. So yeah, I want to have ways to hide admin or moderators things, but we can maybe just do it with good UX. So consider this thing of, do we want to have modules just locally, or also modules like a big realm with subpath? But if the answer is no, we are path oriented. I have B plans for all the things. So it's more like designing an ideal world where you want to create a realm and consider that you can share everything inside the realm wall. Inside the wall, you can have boxes, the subpaths, to organize things better, but we consider that the realm is delimited by the walls of the realm, which can contain not only one package, but multiple ones. In my visual representation of a realm P, etc., where P is like, as we said, more like heaven, pure, and realms is more like earth, I see the realm as a castle with wall, and inside you have the assets, you have the front-facing API, which can be seen as maybe store, market, I don't know. And yeah, having subpaths, in my opinion, should not be subcastle or independent castles. They should just be boxes in this trusted wall. That's how I see a realm, like a safe place, like a bubble, like let's say a firewall. There is a firewall around, but inside you can mix code, assets, public-facing functions, etc.
oh gosh.
I ask a stupid question. So, I mean, I'm looking at a Go mod file, and you know, I would, there's open telemetry, blah blah blah, internal retry, and then there's open, and then there's another subpath. But these two have the same version, but they can have different versions, right?
Yeah.
And I think you're going to have to stick with that, right? They're different things.
Is it the Go mod or the Go sum?
That's a Go mod. Yeah. But you can specify a different version. And, And especially when you get into the fact that data is persisted. If you update the so-called sub-realm, but you don't update the higher level realm, or vice versa, it's a nightmare, right? If these things aren't independent.
Yeah.
That's what I would expect coming to this, right? If somehow magically, just because something has the same name with a slash something else, and
no, that's why, in my opinion, I'm for patching the GNO source file once they're uploaded to add eventual implicit versions. I think people won't like this and prefers to have maybe to upload the GNO mod to resolve the versions. But in my opinion, for clarity, we should have import who are full. So if we have built-in versioning with maybe symlink system, so that your package without a version point to the latest in terms of UI, I would prefer to have very explicit import containing the version so that this v7 slash retry dot blah blah is different from v8 slash retry dot blah blah. But yeah, it's another topic, another GNO for all regarding versioning. But in my opinion, GNO mode is something just for development, for local development. Once uploaded, GNO mode does not make sense because actually the main reason is like GNO mode cannot be the same on-chain and off-chain. If you have a single replace directive, the replace directive won't make sense on-chain. So the day we have versioning, the day we have maybe a convention where by default something you upload is both available as slash retry and slash retry v1, I'm for patching the GNO files or maybe generating a GNO mod for on-chain to make sure that the import is explicit. But patching the GNO file is maybe strange, but in my opinion, it's more copy-paste friendly, and it's not ambiguous. You know what you are importing exactly. Or maybe patching with a slash comment, maybe slash retry slash v1.7.0. So the source code is explicit on what you use, and there is no way to mix two versions. But this is another bigger topic. Version is a specific case. It's related, clearly, especially about partial bump of version. If you want to upload some part and maybe keep the previous versions just for the state, while having the new version more for the logic.
When a function is executed in a transaction, and the result is recorded on the blockchain, is it clear exactly which code was run? Like a year later, if the code has been updated
that's
by
the
3
goal.
versions,
That's clearly the goal. If in my vision of how we can have good visually appealing versioning, so by having to not put version everywhere, like on Git, when you git clone without a hash, it will take the latest hash by default. If we have something similar, and for just having this for front end stuff, but each time you make something, it's always explicit. You have the full version, and that's why I suggest, because we're on the blockchain, it's easier than with Git. We can have a sequence numbers. That's why I was suggesting that by default you upload /nt/boards. It's uploaded at nt/board/v1, then v2, then v3 eventually. But when you call nt/boards without specifying v1 on the main interface, it goes to the latest version by default. And when you make a transaction, same. But actually, under the hood, it will add the suffix.
I just want to not have to know about Go or GNO mod much, and not even have to use version numbers. So, I think I should be able to publish stuff, no version number, complete, no Go mod. Just, I don't know. I mean, Ethereum does it fun, right? They have this culture of kind of immutable blockchain machine, whatever. And once you upload your smart contract, that's what it is. And
but in GNO you have these persisted variables, and from v1 to v2, the code can completely change, right? And the meaning of what that persisted variable is can completely change, and that's so confusing to me.
Yeah. Okay. So here's the model that we have right now. Right. So think of the P packages as as I guess things that are not meant to change, immutable, and things that are realm packages are immutable. And the primary interface to the realm packages is it should be thought of as through the exposed functions, more or less, right? Unless, like, I don't know, it somewhere it exposes a closure or something, but otherwise it's exposed functions. And yeah, realm package, it can't store other realm packages as structures. So other realms can figure out how to upgrade themselves without too much trouble, as long as we can kind of synchronously halt the whole world, right? And just do some kind of a swizzling swaparoo on that realm that needs to be updated. None of the other data structures really need changing that are outside of the realm being updated, if you know what I mean, right? And then
So each version has to have a migration code somehow.
What do you mean each version? Each version of
Well, just think of the board, right? We have the board, and it keeps a list of messages, right, based on some message ID, and then that board, the realm has code, but then we discover, a simple bug, and so we want to make, and people have already put in 10,000s of messages, right? And now we want to fix that and upload some new realm code that fixes a little thing, and is that new realm a completely different thing that's gonna, if it has a global variable, it's gonna start fresh, and or how does it does it make a copy of all the other realm data, or this is the big can of worms, but I'm just saying that this is related to how you name realms, and whether there are whether two different realms are part of the same sort of data persistence space, whether it's a sub folder or not. So,
yeah. This was written somewhere.
yeah, there's an issue for it, sure.
And
I mean, you guys, I've just showed up, and you guys have been thinking about this for a long time. I don't want to waste your time, but maybe I can just say what a developer off the street would expect to see, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm assuming that there's a cost to storing all that persisted data on the blockchain, and so if a new version of the same realm is considered to be a different realm, then does it get access to the existing data, or does it need to make a copy of it? And if there's 2 gigabytes of data, do I have to pay to make that copy just because I updated my realm version?
Right. So I think there's regarding realm upgrades, there's some strategies, right? One strategy is the naive, simple one is to have a migration step, right? So you have like version 1, then the next version, and then there's like a function, I guess, that halts the world and migrates all the data somehow.
Well, you already have the init function, right? That does some magic the very first time the realm executes.
Yeah, but this is not very good because you don't want to halt the whole world to upgrade something, fix a bug. So I think there might be other things we can do where perhaps you can import. You can have a special privilege to import older versions of the module, and then kind of like how a test file in Go can import and use, the private fields, unexposed fields of the module it's testing, right? Similarly, maybe we can kind of allow that so that they're like an umbrella module can import the old versions and then kind of have access to everything. Right? In that case, you don't necessarily need a whole migration step. You don't need to stop the world because you can just use the old structures and then maybe migrate piecemeal or something, right?
Yeah.
But so, and then there are other things you can do. You could there are two other special cases to consider that I know of, or maybe three. One is just changing a function, keeping the method signature the same, but just changing the implementation, swapping it. In Objective-C, in iPhone land, this is called swizzling, right? And this is a type of upgrade that is kind of potentially pretty easy to understand. You know what I mean? You can almost change any. You can almost maybe change any method or function, exposed or not, of a package. Just change the function, if and patch a bug pretty easily, right?
Right.
Another one is maybe if you really needed to, we could consider like what I hate to mention it, but what Protobuf wanted to do is trying to do with future-proof structures. So we could maybe like in the very least like support adding additional structure fields, perhaps. So but this is now a can of worms, and this is like special cases. I don't know, it's kind of a lot, but I'm the other one seems a little more promising. The swizzling, kind of band-aid, kind of helps, but magic import of old version seems pretty critical here.
Yeah. I don't want to. I mean, this is fascinating, and but I don't know if it's my place to brain dump here. I have my own ideas about what I would expect to see.
Yeah, please share. I mean, I think it's good to keep talking about it, even if we repeat.
Well, let's just do the board, right? The board stores some messages, and we have board code V1, and it is stored, 100 messages, and that's persisted on the blockchain. And then we make V2, and like you said, we just keep the same function names but fix a bug, right? And maybe that has access to the previous data. Now, when I make a transaction to call a function of a realm, and V2 has already been published, but can I make a transaction to call the function of V1? And if it had its persisted set of messages, right, 100, and then we made V2, and then V2 puts in another 100 messages, right? And when V2 is adding new messages, is it adding to the same persisted message store? Or is it adding to some other copy that sort of started with what V1 had and then adds to that? And so that now, I would hope so.
Can I interrupt real quick with a question? Yeah. What do you mean add a message? What do you mean?
Our message board, right?
Sorry. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, that's what I've been exposed to, and it's intuitive, and it's a great example. So yeah, so and it just has some map or list structure that gets persisted, and that's really cool. Each time someone puts a message in the message board. So I would and that's some variable name, and all that happened in V1, and then we fix a bug in the code, and then publish V2. The data structure that's persisted from V1 is that now everybody starts calling the add message function on the realm V2, and if it had access to the state of V1 and it's appending to that data structure and persisting that, then that would be intuitive. But if V1 is still a realm that's on the blockchain, can I make a transaction to call it? And then when I call its add message method, then it now it has a list of 101 messages, even though V2 has added hundreds of more messages. It just gets at when we say the realm persists as data, that sounds fine until they get into versioning.
Yeah. So in the model of magic imports for importing older versions, the simple answer would be, the simple model would be, you can't call the old functions anymore except through magic import, right?
So the validators would refuse to execute a transaction asking to run a function on a previous version of some realm.
Or maybe there's no semantic way to even do it because after you've upgraded the realm, it's just the same. It's you call a function, it's there or it isn't, and if it's there, it might be the new one. if you changed it. Yes, I mean I don't see why versions. I don't think in terms of versions, it semantically seems a lot easier if we don't have any versions at all. Well,
that's relatively simple because then you don't have to stop the world. You just have to stop the world long enough to, the blockchain to register that this realm now has a new version of code, and you're not allowed to use the old one.
Yeah, you're not allowed to use the old one. There was also a previous discussion about what about, does this mean you can't save closures? Yeah, you shouldn't even be able to save closures from another realm.
Yeah. Well, then my brain hurts a little bit when another realm can import the previous realm, right? And how do you enforce determinism there? Because then, if at a certain moment in time, the board's realm was upgraded from V1 to V2, and some other realm calls a function on the board's realm, which is, dealing with mutable state, I don't see how you can enforce determinism there. But
sorry.
That's anyways.
Well, the idea with realms and upgrades, I guess, is that you're breaking determinism. If your realm, I guess, if all realms can be upgraded by their owners, I guess you could declare a realm to be immutable, in which case you can't even upgrade it, in which case you have complete determinism for that realm. Any realm can import any other realm's code and call it. It's just at the end of the day, well, what I was talking about was at the end of a function, does my realm store any type declared in another realm, or any closure
Right.
generated by another realm? I can use it all I want as long as I don't store it, and when I'm done with it. Sorry, I lost my train of thought.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what time zone you're in. It's getting late here.
Oh, I'm in California time.
Yeah, I figured you were. So you just got up.
Oh yeah. Well,
so but the only reason I bring up the rat's nest of versions is, Manfred was talking about how we name realms, and I would imagine that relates to if what is the boundary around the variables that are persisted, right?
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, another way. Here's my question: is can we move a lot of stuff into P packages where we can more freely support things like subpads for versions and stuff?
Yeah, you're right. If a package is just a bunch of pure function calls, then it really doesn't matter what you do.
And types, yeah, and
Yeah.
if we push a lot of as much of that stuff to P packages, and then we think of realms as more like big fat treasury, the what is it? I don't know. Its job is, manage the storage space.
Mhm.
Then you can kind of see why you shouldn't have to create sub realms, right? As helpers, like it's kind of like trying to create a bunch of treasuries when you only need one little scrappy startup,
I guess I'm in a loss here, and I don't expect you to give a tutorial to me, but exactly how the blockchain stores the state, right? And you have a bunch of validators that are going to achieve consensus, and you have blocks being added quickly to the blockchain. And do all the validators start from exactly the same block? I guess they do. With this, just in case that in validator one thinks the state of the realm is something, and validator two comes in a few seconds later and thinks it's something else. But I don't know how that works. But I assume that's why you need determinism is if you're going to have consensus, then the different validators need to produce exactly the same answer.
Yeah. We build on top of Tendermint, right? I mean the GNO CLI, the console CLI. We're thinking about also having another mode of execution that mirrors the blockchain environment, that doesn't include the blockchain itself. Whatever. Anyways, what are we talking about?
How do the different validators operate on the same exact state?
The determinism in the blockchain environment comes from Tendermint, which already guarantees that all the validators agree on the order of transactions to the virtual machine.
Okay.
So there's the block. Yeah, it's solved in the consensus layer by Tendermint.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So Manfred, right? What I'm thinking is that that like r/nt/board/internal/lib shouldn't exist, but rather we should move that stuff, including version information, into p/nt/board/ like whatever, maybe like v0/internal lib or whatever. You know what I mean? Because those internal libraries don't need separate treasury management and data realm management. So you only need one realm. So everything else can go in P packages.
So you are saying we can have sub-dirs in package, but not in realm, right?
Sorry, what's that? Let me type it out. I'm saying what I typed out there can instead be like v0.0 like that. So you only have one realm, r/nt boards. As you only if that makes sense.
That would be intuitive to me. So that the one and only realm is also what declares the variables that are persisted, and is the thing which is versioned. Yeah.
It imports the versioned things. Yeah.
Yeah. It's the one thing you have to pay attention to when you're worrying about versioning. Yeah.
Is Manfred here?
Oh, did we already
He
lose
left.
Manfred? Uh-oh. Oh, well, so then we should stop talking about this. Wait for him.
Okay.
We can tell him we solved it.
Okay, I'm gonna send a screenshot to Manfred and maybe we call it a day.
Okay. Thanks a lot. Great first meeting for me.
Yeah, really good to jam on these questions. And so thanks for joining again. See you next time. When is the next call?
2 weeks.
Oh, 2 weeks. Yeah. Is that a good pace, do you think?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. I'll type my my Signal number here in the chat, so if anyone wants to find me. Are you in the Signal group? We have a Signal group.
Yeah, we're all of us birdie people are in there.
Oh yeah. Okay, great. So I'll be more active soon. Nice talking to you, Jeff.
Nice talking to you.
Thank
See you
you.
soon.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.